Is Steve Clarke set to stay at Scotland? It's the Premiership playoff final, and can Thistle move on up? Or will St Mirren pull off the great escape? Hello, I'm Charlotte Cohen, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Thursday the 21st of May. And is the Scotland manager about to pen a new deal with the national side?
This is a group of players who understand how to qualify for major tournaments, and hopefully the experience of the boys that have been at major tournaments before and will come to the fore in this one, and we'll do something that no Scottish team has ever done before.
Will Steve Clarke be leading us to the next Euros? And Partick Thistle are looking for promotion after their 5th playoff in a row.
Samuel could be in here. Samuel! Alex Samuel has headed Partick Thistle in front. And could that be the decisive blow?
Can the Jags make it to the Premiership for the first time since 2018? St Mirren, meanwhile, are hoping for Premiership survival.
You can't say that we're in a false position. We're in a position because we've not scored enough goals this season. We now need to do everything we can over the next 2 games to make sure that we do enough to stay in the league.
We'll keep you up to date with all things Scottish football.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
And alongside me to talk all of that, Ray Bradshaw, Partick Thistle fan. Morning, Ray. Question for you then. Will Steve Clarke be Scotland manager at the next Euros?
Oh, start with an easy one. I don't know. I thought Steve Clarke was going, and then I thought he wasn't, and then I saw the article yesterday saying that he's staying. I genuinely don't know. I'd kind of mentally thought, right, he's got us to 3. He didn't put any real youth in any of his last few squads. Lennon Miller not getting on in that Ivory Coast game. Even though I was quite a few beers down at that game, I still realised that was an awful decision to bring on Kenny McLean for another 35 minutes after playing 90. So I just kind of thought he was just playing his team and then moving on. I find it astounding if he does stay on, the fact that he's not brought in more youth over the game, because it'll be a complete fresh start. He did that after the last Euros. I remember those 6 Nations League games, and the first 3 were ropey, but we actually got 3 good results because he eventually let them to do it. So it seems like if he is staying on, he's kind of writing those games off in September, October, November to get the players in. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows anything with Steve Clarke? I've interviewed him 3 times. I still don't know if he knows my name, if he likes me. You know nothing about him.
Well, alongside us, former St Mirren midfielder Ryan Flynn. Ryan, are you the same as Ray? Are you just completely confused about Steve Clarke's future?
Not really. I'm more whether he'll be there or not. I hope so, and I think the SFA should be backing him. I mean, his record speaks for itself. 3 out of the 4 campaigns, making it to major tournaments. I just think he's done an incredible job. And if a manager's leaving, or if you're thinking about not keeping a manager, the reason would be why. And I mean, we question some of his decisions. I don't know why, because he's the one that produces time and time again. Has he lost the dressing room? Definitely not. I mean, the players love him. They play for him, work hard for him. So that's one reason. And then, who's the other candidate that's superior candidate that would go and take the job? I mean, Steve Clarke, it's not just what he's done as a manager. Before that, when he was a coach, working under top managers and learning off them, Jose Mourinho, Kenny Dalglish. I think he had a brief spell under Sir Bobby Robson. He knows how to create that team spirit, and that's what he's done. And I don't think we should be questioning Steve Clarke. So I'm just in hope that Steve Clarke's the man that takes Scotland forward again.
Would you have given him a new deal before the tournament starts, though? That seems fascinating.
Yeah, without a doubt, I would. I mean, I don't know why we're dealing with it. Like, I know the past major tournaments, but we don't normally get there. I don't know why we think just because we're now getting there that we should be doing so much better. I think the big game will be the Haiti game. I think we have to win that. I don't think that matters about performance. I think if we win that, you never know what's going to happen. But I just think even that Denmark game, it was incredible. And then I think he brought Tierney on the right hand side, and decisions he makes, you just think, what's going on here? And then suddenly it's Tierney that's stepping on it for the right hand side and smashing it home, and you're just like, he just knows what's needed at the right time. And Steve Clarke is the man, and hopefully he continues in his role.
Interesting. Well, before we delve a little bit more into Steve Clarke, John McGinn last night getting his trophy lifting practice in early, winning the Europa League with Aston Villa. I mean, Ray, as a Scotland fan, how good is it to see McGinn hitting form at pretty much the perfect time, lifting a trophy, coming into this camp, this pre-World Cup camp, heading into the World Cup, just probably full of confidence.
Yeah, it's not even just that. It's the fact about when you watch it, you realise how loved he is by the Villa fans as well. Like, they were singing, they've won their first major trophy in, 30 years, first European trophy in 40 years. And as the players are walking up, they're singing the "We've Got McGinn" Super John McGinn song. That's class. And like, it goes beyond that. So my son is 6 years old. He has a Villa kit with McGinn on the back. We left his football training early last night so he could come home and watch the first half because he loves John McGinn so much. It blew his mind that I know Stephen McGinn. And I was like, he's not even the best one. Like, it's class. Like, they've just done incredible. And it's funny, like, I've been a Thistle fan all my days. I don't really have an English Premiership team, but I would say most weeks I closely check the Villa and the Napoli scores every week, and that is the Scotland effect right now. I could not give a toss about the Arbroath score, Ryan. Apologies, but I checked the weather forecast for Arbroath, but not the score.
There's no need.
No.
I suppose, Ryan, from a player perspective, you'll understand it must be so good to when you're coming up to big games to be feeling confident, to be playing good football, and to be winning things.
I mean, for not like John McGinn, that's for sure. Whatever he touches, he wins. I mean, he was at St Mirren, won the League Cup, went to Hibs, broke that record of the years without the Scottish Cup, wins the Scottish Cup there, incredible achievement, goes down to Villa. I think he was the one that scored the goal in the playoff final, and he gets promoted to the Premiership, and he just goes up every level that he has to overcome. He produces, even in the run, the semi-final performance that he put on to get them to the final and then get them to final. He's an incredible player. I think there's Klopp was talking about mentality monsters with Liverpool. I think there's a few mentality monsters within the Scotland dressing room now. Andy Robertson, you've got Kieran Tierney, you've got John McGinn, you've got guys that are real winners, Scott McTominay, that are producing in big moments. So it's exciting times for Scotland, and John McGinn is very much a part of that, and hopefully he can produce and get Scotland out the group stages for once. That'd be the next big challenge.
I loved the bit in his interview when they're just talking about, and he names his, like you've said, Andy Robertson, he names his mate Jack Grealish, who's won trophies and stuff like that. But then there's a wee pause and he goes, "I like to party." And it's like, no one's asked you that, John. Like, he's just brought it out. And I was like, this is why I love the guy.
I think he's going to try and keep a curb on it this time. I don't know why.
Because he needs to win the World Cup, Ryan, that's why.
Early bedtimes from now until June. Well, let's actually talk about Scotland and Steve Clarke, because we've touched on the fact that it looks like he's potentially signing a new deal with Scotland. I was intrigued, Ryan, by how positive you were, because it seems as though a lot of supporters are maybe thinking it's time for a change. I don't know. I mean, do you think fans would be happy with Steve Clarke signing a new deal?
That's a different question, I would say, because there is always grumblings going on, and it's sometimes over the style of football, or as you rightly said about the blood in the youngsters into their squad. I mean, Lennon Miller is a fabulous footballer, and he's probably one that you can see really breaking in at some point. I think he seems to do it more seamlessly than people see it. For example, if Finlay Curtis was in the last squad, that was maybe the big upset. Now suddenly he's in the World Cup squad, that's him into the squad. He always talks about the group and sort of probably the chemistry within that. And I think that's what one or two players can upset the dressing room or upset the squad. And I think that's what he's worried about all the time. They've got such a tight-knit squad. I think that's why Scotland are being successful. They obviously has some top players, but I think that's the key reason they're doing well. And maybe the fans, they just want sort of the names, and the media can sometimes drive that. Like, we can sometimes be talking about what's not right rather than looking at all the positives. So I think it might be a little bit split when he does sign that contract. Hopefully he does sign the contract, but I think it will be split. I don't think it'll be as cut and dry as everyone's been delighted on the back of that. If we go and have a great World Cup campaign, then maybe that sways it and it completely changes it. So I think initially before the World Cup, I can't see it being overly positive, although it should be.
Yeah, it's totally I've been lucky, so I get to go in and do some work in the camps, most kind of campaigns, and it's like a club side. It's mad. So they all sit in the same place at lunch. They all know exactly where he goes. People like Liam Kelly, I don't know if either of you met him, is there for to lift the spirits. Like, he's a huge character. They all love him. So when it comes down to him or Scott Bain's played most of the season. Steve Clarke's always going to go with him. Lyndon Dykes, another one, like, is beloved. Kenny McLean, huge characters, and they all play their each wee parts, and he is all loyal to him. The thing, to answer that question, Charlotte, the thing about the fans is, I think fans will be happy for him with a new deal so long as we actually show up and put a performance in this tournament, because you look back to that Hungary game when we were crying out for more attacking things, and that was such a huge opportunity to get the group, and it didn't happen, and you could feel the momentum shift. Like Ryan said, he's got to 3 out of 4 tournaments. It's incredible, but we need to turn up. And I was with Richard Gordon yesterday, and Richard said to me, it could all be over by the Haiti game. And that is such a sobering concept, because he's right. If we don't get 3 points there, we need to go get
Scotland way of thinking.
Yeah. There was a Martin Elson sent me a simulator thing yesterday that they've put the results through 1,000 times, and supposedly we're going to beat Brazil 2-1 and finish on 7 points. We're going to drop points to Morocco, beat Haiti 1-0.
Take.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, let's see what's happening. So yeah, I don't know, but I think Steve Clarke, like you said, he has earned the right, but it's just play some sexy football, Steve. Come on.
That's the thing you've both touched on, Ryan. Steve Clarke has done so well. You know, we're at our first World Cup in my lifetime. We got to Euros, albeit it didn't go the way a lot of supporters would have wanted it to go. But he's not immune to criticism. And you look at whoever's going to succeed him. I wonder, Ryan, what success looks like to them, because look at what Steve Clarke's achieved, and if there's still people saying his time's up, criticising him, what happens to the next person?
And probably experience in dealing with that is probably a big part as well. So you're talking about he's been at the 2 previous major tournaments, and he's had the experience of underachieving, to so to speak, with performances. He's going to learn from that as well, and be ready for that, hopefully in this next major tournament. It's a pressurised job. I mean, you're the national manager. It's going to come your way. I think he deals with it incredibly well, bats it off. There's never main headlines within the squad or Steve Clarke himself. And whoever else does eventually get that role, whether it's after this summer or in 2 years' time, you're going to end up criticism one way or another, and it's how you deal with it. And that's why it normally is more experienced managers that are national managers, because regardless, it's going to come your way. Being Scotland's manager, you're never going to please style of football, winning, whatever it is. Because if you change the style, and it might affect how it's going, and you might start losing games that Scotland have managed to get over the line. That's the way it's been. It's never been sexy football, as Ray put it, but it's been productive and successful, and I'll take that every day.
And let's not forget, he gave most of us one of the best nights of our life when we beat Denmark. Yeah. Like that, it goes back to that every time. And Steve Clarke swaggering into the press conference afterwards with the biggest smile on his face, and I was like, oh, he can smile. That's interesting. And he once sat through me doing 20 minutes of stand-up, and I never saw that smile once, by the way. I swear.
Was that night against Denmark, Ray, better than the birth of your child?
No, No comment.
Pause.
I mean,
It tells me all I need to know.
Let's be honest, my wife doesn't listen to these. She was at both of them with me, so that's fine. So was my son. So let's play consistent. Let's call it a 0-0 draw.
Well, one of the other things we touched on, John McGinn and Aston Villa, one of the things we were talking about this morning before we got going was set pieces. Austin McPhee, the Aston Villa set piece coach, was our set piece coach for Scotland for a while. But I wonder, Ryan, if this is kind of an area Scotland, should be, I suppose, focusing on in the World Cup. It seems to have kind of almost taken over the game this season, this whole idea of set pieces, second phase set pieces, long throw-ins, short corners, as I was mentioning before. But I do wonder if this is an area that we should maybe be looking at.
You just want more short corners for Steve Clarke at the World Cup?
No,
that's what I'm crying out.
Get them in the bin.
Steve, if you're listening, short corners.
I think that's probably one disappointment fact. That's probably known a little bit from Austin McPhee and how well he done for Scotland and what he produced. I mean, again, last night it was a wonderfully worked set piece that obviously Tielemans is a lovely strike in the end, but it's definitely worked so that he gets that free shot at the edge of the box. And Emery's after the game and all the Aston Villa players, they were talking about how that 1-0 lead then changed how they felt about it and how they opened up the game, and then they dominated from then on in. But as you said, Charlotte, it's so important, those set pieces. You would like to think Steve Clarke does have someone that's designated. I know maybe don't have the title, but within football clubs, there's normally someone that's always has that role and that job to make sure you're constantly looking at the opposition set pieces and finding their flaws and their strengths. And so I'm sure someone within the Scotland setup will be doing that. Probably not having Austin McPhee as a disappointing factor off why he's left, and now he's obviously I think working with Portugal as well. It's huge. It's a massive part. I mean, Hearts were excellent at set pieces this year and we're finding ourselves at the top of the league for a majority of the season. Arsenal in the Premiership as well. They've won the league and I think they were the best at the set pieces and corners. So it's a huge part of the game. Unfortunate again for Ray's probably disappointed it's not sexy football. But it's huge. But I'm sure Steve Clarke will have someone within that, whether it's Stephen Naismith or not. It'll be someone within that setup that will have that all sorted, I'm sure.
Well, just to take a bit of a different turn, some of the news coming out yesterday was that Toulouse have approached Motherwell about their manager, Jens Bertolascu. It was kind of always going to be the case that he would be in demand this summer, Ray, but do you think the Motherwell fans were expecting an offer this soon?
No, I genuinely don't, and I'm gutted for them as well. But it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Like, I support a club that aren't one of the top three. I mean, Motherwell did finish at the top four, so they're slightly higher than Thistle, but you always know that, like, we've got Ben Stanley, he's going to go on to bigger and better things, and you want them to go on and do bigger and better things. But I don't know if the Motherwell fans will be happy, it's this quickly, but also that it's not Celtic. I think that will be something because they've been heavily linked. Let's remember, Celtic still haven't appointed anyone. Martin O'Neill can't keep going, can he? Like, it's mad, especially if they're in Europe, because his pension day might be affected and like everything that happens. So you just don't know with that one. So I genuinely thought Motherwell might make a move. I don't know enough about Toulouse to know if it's a good move for him. But for Motherwell as a club, this could be the start of your Massimini's going, I think, speaking to a Motherwell fan the other day, he was like, we will cash in. It's just a matter of when. And they look at the figures for Kieran Bowie in the past 6 months about how much they can get. So it could be financially an incredible time for Motherwell, a club who've, I think, overachieved this season. I don't know. Because let's be honest, this time last season, we were all talking about their manager. I can't remember the guy who was there for like 3 months. His name? Wimmer. Yeah, and he'd just gone.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's going to happen? And then they were signing players from the Austrian second division and all that. And he's done incredible. But no, I think if you're a Motherwell fan, you are a bit gutted, but then you hope it's just not. At least you've always had that one season. Like, that's what I always think. You've scudded the old firm for the first time in a long time, and then you've given away one of the most ridiculous penalties in a title deciding season. Maybe that was the straw that broke his back. I don't know.
Happy memories.
Yes.
Right, let's talk Thistle then.
Finally, sexy football. Now we're talking about it. Let's get into it.
I mean, we talk about playoff, I know, first leg tonight. You've seen this film before many times as a Thistle fan. Can you avoid another Dingwall episode, do you think?
Do you want to know something funny, right? There's a Partick Thistle documentary that came out in STV Player yesterday. This isn't made up, of the way. The executive producer is the same guy that was the executive producer of Dumb and Dumber and The Green Book, and he's won an Oscar, and God knows what he's doing at Thistle. But they had a premiere on Monday night, and I went to it and I watched it, and they were talking about us against Livy in the playoffs last year, and we go 2-0 down, and I'm watching it, and I was like, I wasn't at this game. I must have been on holiday, because it's May, and usually I finish a tour and I go on holiday, and I was like, I don't remember it. And then they showed a clip of Lee Ashcroft hitting the bar, and I was like, I was at that game. I have no memory of this. Because, like you said at the start of the show, Charlotte, we've done so many playoffs. Like, if you'd asked me who we lost in the playoffs,
just blend into one another.
I would have hand on heart said we lost to Wraith Rovers last season. And that was 2 years ago, we lost in penalties. I remember that so vividly. I don't remember us losing to Livy last year. I remember scraping by Ayr. But the playoffs, it's just, this is the first time we've ever finished second. So we've actually had a rest. So the last 2 games of the season, we rested. I think it was 7 changes and 4 changes in the last 2 games. And then as a result, we looked a bit, not ropey, but we didn't look great against Dunfermline in either leg. I thought outstanding the first leg, the maybe last 10, 15 minutes when Aston Oxborough makes like 3 or 4 good saves. The problem is for tonight is, for me, and you both will have seen more of St Mirren than I have this season. I've only seen them the occasional tele game. Everyone keeps telling me how bad St Mirren are. And I don't like being an optimist. Like, it doesn't suit being a Thistle fan. Like, that's part of our DNA. So I'm worried. I've got my ticket. I'm taking my son tonight. We're going to the game. I don't have a ticket for Monday, but let's just say I'm working on that. Literally going through my phone and shouting at anyone that will get me one. But yeah, we've seen this before, like you said. Like, we've seen this so many times, and we finished every other position in the playoffs. The only position in the playoffs we've not finished, whether losing quarterfinals, winning semi-finals, is winning the final. But for me, the biggest thing about tonight and Monday is, if we win, there's obviously we've got the Premiership. There's a much bigger chance we keep players like Aidan Fitzpatrick, Logan Chalmers, who are both out of contract. I know one of them's had a couple of offers. So if we go, Ben Stanley's gone. He'll go into bigger and better things. But it's keeping this team together, because when Mark Wilson came in, there's a great interview with him when he got appointed manager last season in what was a ridiculous situation where Brian Graham had been offered the player manager's job on less money than he was on as a player, and then we were going to appoint Dougie Emery and the fans revolted. When Mark Wilson got appointed, we had no right backs, we had no strikers, we had 2 centre halves, a couple of centre mids, wingers, no left back, no goalie, and the job he's done is incredible. And it's that kind of Gary Naismith, Stenhousemuir thing. If he keeps doing this job, he'll go quickly. So we need to get that kind of player signed up for the next one if it does happen.
You touched on, when you were talking there, Ray, about having the almost break at the end of the season to be able to have that opportunity to rest players. I wonder, Ryan, St Mirren are going into this one off the back of 2 pretty decent results to end their Premiership campaign, but do you think it's an advantage for Thistle to maybe have been through the semi-finals and have kind of built up a bit of a rhythm and have that feel for the playoffs?
I wouldn't go as far as advantage. I would definitely say it's better for them. History speaks that way, as in no team's ever got promoted from the 3rd or 4th position in the Championship. I think that it's a step too far. I don't think that, I wouldn't say extra games, because obviously the Premiership play 2 extra league games. It's just the magnitude and the intensity and the pressure of those games. I think they're more mentally draining than a normal league game. So I think if you're playing 3rd or 4th, to go through all the hurdles, and it probably showed at Partick Thistle that incredible one with I think they beat Queen's Park, Ayr, they went up to Ross County, and it collapsed, and it was just too much in the end.
We beat Ayr 8-0 over 2 legs in that year.
they're flying and they hit the ground running, but it just those 6 games, it just wasn't 6 full games. It ended up being one half, and that was enough, and they didn't get over the line. So I wouldn't say advantage over St Mirren, to say to speak, but it definitely helps Partick Thistle's opportunity, and I think it's a massive opportunity. I think in previous years you sometimes look at it and the Premiership side looks so far ahead of the Championship side, and everyone believes it's the Premiership side. St Mirren haven't had a great season, and the reason I say it's a massive opportunity for Partick Thistle is St Mirren, no matter the football that they're playing or their defensive record, it's just lacking goals. And I think if Partick Thistle can put it together, they can go over the line. They have attacking threats. They have players that can change games by themselves. They have players that can come off the bench and change the game. So it's a massive opportunity for Mark Wilson and Partick Thistle. More on St Mirren's side, as you said, they have turned it around, as in a fantastic result up at Pittodrie. They did rotate, so everyone will be fighting fresh for these 2 massive games. Craig McLeish actually spoke really well about the pressure of the game, being big game players. They do have those within the dressing room. They're missing obviously a couple through some serious injuries, Keanu Bacchus and Jonah Ayunga. I think tonight's the big game. I really do for Partick Thistle. I think that tonight's the big game. I think if it's a cage affair and it goes back to St Mirren at home, I think they'll get the job done. But I just feel, I don't know what Mark Wilson's got to do, but it can't be a start like it was at Firhill against Dunfermline, where it's a little bit cagey, a little bit feeling each other out. I think they've got to go for it from the start. I don't know how. I don't know what, because he's not got Ocean Smith, who's been a big part of the football that they've played. When he's not played, they had Fraser Taylor to step in for him. Because they're both on loan, they can't play. I've got a feeling, does he just go does he go Tony Watt and Alex Samuel and really go all guns blazing and really go hit St Mirren head on at home and try and get the victory at home? I think that's their best chance of getting through over the 2 legs is really producing tonight at Firhill, rocking, catch St Mirren cold maybe. And that's happened to St Mirren during the season. That they have been caught cold and lost games they maybe shouldn't. So I think tonight's the big one for Partick Thistle.
I'd love for us to do that, but last time we played in the Cup, I'd love for us to go Watt and Samuel. Alex Samuel just never stops running. He's a Forrest Gump of the Championship. He is phenomenal. But you look at the last time we played, we went with, because as you said, Smith is not cup tied, but league tied. It's an odd one. Stanway, Robbie Crawford, and Luke Sosa. We played 3, and then we played because Chalmers, I think, was he suspended maybe for that one? So he didn't play. But yeah, that's big. The big loss for Thistle is Dan O'Reilly, who has been outstanding at centre back. He went off. The club haven't said anything, but from what we were told, it's a concussion, so he will miss tonight. He might miss Monday's game. No one's fully sure of that. So Cale Lockeray will probably come in. A guy who's not played a lot of football since he joined. He's come in, slotted in. So Dan O'Reilly is, he's 5'7" and wins everything in the air. I love the man. So he's going to be a big miss tonight. But apart from that, we are pretty good injury-wise compared to St Mirren. I know even Declan John and players like that are missing. So, and St Mirren were playing 16-year-olds the other day. So if we lose to 16-year-olds, if we lose to a young team, that'll be an absolute ready. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
It's funny you say that though. It was a breath of fresh air from Luke Douglas when he come on as a striker. Just his enthusiasm, he's so energetic. As you say, that Alex Samuel, like that, it's so infectious for other players in the park. Although he's so young, he has that no fear, and I think that's why I think if it's KG, the experienced players do their job tonight. 0-0, 1-1. I think that's a perfect scoreline for St Mirren to go back home and get the job done. And that's why I think tonight, I think it's up to your Tony Watts and your Alex Samuels to really, because I thought Tony Watt was outstanding when he came on. I mean, he's definitely not going to be happy when he was on that bench, knowing him from when he was a brief spell at St Mirren. But the way he came on, his attitude, it's just his game knowledge, how he changed that game. And I don't know what it was. He was just at the heart of everything, wasn't he? I mean, he's not like Alex Samuel. He's not here, then everywhere, but he was always involved. And it's between the years that how he plays the game, and he can move when he wants to. I thought he was outstanding. I just feel him and Alex Samuel have got a massive game tonight, and then they have to get the job done. I think they've got to get the victory tonight if they want to go through.
Well, you can listen to all the action from the first leg of the Premiership playoff final from Firhill on Sportsound at 7 o'clock tonight. That is all we've got time for. Many thanks to Ryan and Ray, and thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so make sure you don't miss out. Subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you again tomorrow.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the sorer obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line. Somebody's washing, you know.
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is, you know.
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
A ball map.
Look at the ball map. What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.